What if there were a movie so ambitious, so epic, that it dared to cover the entire scope of history from the moment the universe was spoken into existence to the dramatic events that could mark the end of time? A movie that doesn't just tell a story, but instead tells the story, the one that has shaped civilizations, inspired billions, and sparked centuries of debate. This is that movie. This isn't just a film about the Bible. It's a cinematic retelling of the Bible's greatest events, brought to life on the big screen in a way that's never been done before. And trust me, you don't want to miss this. Let's unpack this together. Today, we'll explore an unprecedented Bible film that's about to hit theaters. It's not just another movie, it's a journey through time, faith, and the human experience. Imagine watching the creation of the universe in stunning detail, seeing the Garden of Eden's beauty and tragedy unfold before your eyes, and experiencing the events of Revelation like you're right there in the middle of it. This isn't just storytelling. It's an invitation to reflect on the biggest questions of life. Why are we here? Where are we going? And how do the stories of the Bible connect to us today? The opening scenes of the movie take us to the very beginning. Think about this: the Bible starts with the simplest yet most profound statement ever written in the beginning. God created the heavens and the earth. But what does that look like? This film dares to bring it to life. Picture a cosmic explosion of light, galaxies forming, stars being born, and Earth taking shape, all rendered with breathtaking visual effects. It's not just a spectacle, it's a visual meditation on the origins of existence itself. Have you ever wondered what it must have felt like for the first humans, Adam and Eve, to walk in the Garden of Eden, surrounded by perfection?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more topics you love.
This movie doesn't just show the garden, it makes you feel its peace, its beauty, and ultimately, its loss. The story of Adam and Eve is more than an ancient tale. It's a story about choice, about trust, and about consequences. When they eat the forbidden fruit, it's not just about disobedience, it's about humanity's struggle to navigate right and wrong, a struggle we still face today. And here's a question for you: if you were there in the garden, would you have made the same choice? It's easy to say no, but think about the times in your life when you've known the right thing to do but chose otherwise. How often do we reach for our own metaphorical forbidden fruit? From there, the movie moves into the stories of Noah, Abraham, and Moses. These aren't just historical figures, they're people who faced impossible challenges, moments of doubt, and incredible acts of faith. Imagine Noah building an ark while the world mocks him. Think about Abraham walking up the mountain with Isaac, not knowing how God's promise will be fulfilled. Picture Moses standing before the Red Sea as Pharaoh's army closes in. These moments aren't just dramatic, they're deeply human. They make us ask ourselves, what would I have done in their place? Would I have trusted God when everything seemed hopeless? And then the film brings us to the life of Jesus. This is the heart of the story, the moment where everything changes. The miracles, the teachings, the compassion, it's all there. But what stands out the most is the crucifixion. It's not just a historical event, it's the ultimate act of love and sacrifice. The film doesn't shy away from the pain and the weight of that moment. It forces you to confront the question, what does this mean for me? And then comes the resurrection, the moment that turns despair into hope, death into life. It's a reminder that even in our darkest moments, there's always the possibility of redemption. But the movie doesn't stop there. It takes us to the book of Revelation, the most mysterious and controversial part of the Bible. This is where the stakes are raised to their highest point. The seals are broken. The trumpets sound. The Battle of Armageddon begins. The imagery is vivid, terrifying, and awe-inspiring all at once. But Revelation isn't just about the end of the world, it's about the ultimate victory of good over evil. It's about the hope of a new heaven and a new earth. And as you watch these scenes unfold, you can't help but wonder, are these events closer than we think? What if the warnings in Revelation aren't just symbolic but a glimpse into our future? And if that's true, how should we live our lives now? This film is more than a movie, it's an experience. It's a chance to see the Bible come alive in a way that's never been done before. But it's also a challenge. It forces us to ask ourselves, what do these stories mean for me? Do I see myself in the choices of Adam and Eve, in the faith of Noah, in the doubts of Abraham, or in the courage of Moses? Do I understand the sacrifice of Jesus and the hope of Revelation? And most importantly, how will I respond to these stories in my own life? Stay with me, because in the next part, we're diving even deeper into the most jaw-dropping, mind-expanding elements of this film. We're going to explore how this movie connects ancient stories to modern life and what it reveals about the human condition. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Let's continue this incredible journey and dive even deeper into what makes this Bible film so monumental. If you've stayed with me so far, you already know this isn't just a movie, it's a transformative experience. But here's where things get even more fascinating. This film doesn't just retell ancient stories, it shows how these stories are alive today, how they pulse through our culture, our struggles, and even our hopes for the future. It connects the ancient text of the Bible to the questions we ask ourselves every single day. Who am I? Why am I here? And what's my purpose? So let's pick up where we left off. Revelation, the final book of the Bible, the part that both fascinates and terrifies readers. And honestly, how could it not? It's filled with incredible imagery: 4 horsemen, beasts, the mark of the beast, trumpets, plagues, and a throne room in heaven that defies imagination. But Revelation is also deeply symbolic. It's a book about the clash between good and evil, the struggles of humanity, and the ultimate triumph of God. Here's the genius of how this movie portrays it. It doesn't just throw apocalyptic imagery at you for shock value. Instead, it asks you to think. It invites you to reflect on what these symbols mean and how they apply to the world we live in today. For example, the film portrays the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse: conquest, war, famine, and death, not just as supernatural figures, but as forces that have always been at work in human history. Think about it, aren't these things we still see today? Political power struggles, wars that devastate nations, food shortages, disease. These aren't just ancient prophecies, they're realities we face every day. And then there's the mark of the beast. This is one of the most debated and controversial elements of Revelation. The movie doesn't force an interpretation on you, it presents the idea and lets you wrestle with it. Is it a literal mark, a symbol of allegiance, or something more subtle, like the choices we make every day to prioritize materialism, power, or convenience over faith and integrity? Here's a question I want you to think about. If the events of Revelation were unfolding right now, would you recognize them? Would you see the signs, or would they pass you by? But this movie doesn't leave you in despair. Yes, Revelation is filled with warnings, but it's also filled with hope. The climax of the film is the return of Christ, the moment when everything broken is made whole, when every tear is wiped away, and when good finally triumphs over evil. The filmmakers have said that they wanted this part of the movie to feel like a glimpse of heaven, like a moment where you can almost taste what it will be like to live in a world without pain, fear, or death. And honestly, watching it, you feel it. You feel the hope. You feel the promise. And it makes you want to live your life differently. But here's where this film becomes more than just a visual masterpiece. It's not just about the Bible as a historical text or even a spiritual guide. It's about how these stories reflect the human condition. Think about it, Adam and Eve's choice in the garden is our choice every day. Noah's faith in the face of ridicule is the same faith we need when we stand up for what we believe in. Abraham's journey into the unknown mirrors our own search for purpose. Moses' courage in leading his people out of Egypt reminds us that sometimes we're called to step into leadership, even when we feel unprepared. And Jesus' sacrifice challenges us to think about what we're willing to give for the people we love and the values we hold dear. This film also forces us to confront some hard truths. For example, when we see the story of the flood, we're reminded of humanity's capacity for evil and God's response to it. But we're also reminded of God's mercy, His willingness to save, His desire to give humanity a second chance. The question is, what are we doing with the second chances we've been given? Are we using them to build lives of meaning and purpose, or are we wasting them on things that don't really matter? And then there's the story of Revelation. If you're like me, the idea of the end times can feel overwhelming. The wars, the chaos, the judgment, it's a lot to take in. But this film presents it not as a reason to fear, but as a reason to hope. It reminds us that no matter how dark things seem, the story isn't over. There's a bigger picture, a greater plan. And if you're watching this right now, maybe that's something you need to hear. Maybe you're going through something that feels like the end of the world. Maybe you're facing challenges that feel impossible to overcome. But this movie and the Bible itself remind us that even in our darkest moments, there's hope, there's redemption, there's a way forward. The filmmakers have also said that one of their goals was to make this movie accessible to everyone, not just people of faith, but anyone who's curious about the Bible and what it means. And that's something I really appreciate. Because whether you believe in the Bible as the Word of God or see it as a collection of stories, there's no denying its impact on history, culture, and the human experience. The themes it explores, love, sacrifice, justice, redemption, are universal. They speak to all of us. But here's the thing, this movie isn't just about watching. It's about reflecting. It's about asking yourself some tough questions. What do you believe about the creation of the universe? About the nature of good and evil? About what happens after we die? And more importantly, how do those beliefs shape the way you live your life? Are you living with intention, with purpose, with faith? Or are you just going through the motions, waiting for something to change? This film is a wake-up call. It's a reminder that we're all part of a bigger story, a story that started long before we were born and will continue long after we're gone. The question is, what role will you play in that story? Will you be a spectator, or will you step into the narrative and make a difference? If you're still with me, I want to thank you. Because this isn't an easy conversation to have. It's deep, it's heavy, but it's also so important. And in the final part of this video, we're going to take everything we've talked about so far and bring it down to a practical level. We're going to explore how you can take the lessons of this film and apply them to your own life. We're going to talk about how you can live with purpose, find hope, and make a difference in the world around you. So stay tuned, because this next part might just change the way you see everything. Let's bring everything together now. If you've made it this far, you're already on the edge of something incredible. We've talked about the epic scope of this film, how it takes us from the creation of the universe to the end of time, how it connects ancient stories to our modern lives, and how it challenges us to think deeply about our choices, our struggles, and our purpose. But now let's focus on the most important part, you. Because the real power of this film isn't just in what it shows, it's in what it inspires. It's about how it can transform the way you live your life. Let's start with the question this movie forces us to ask: what is your role in the bigger story? The Bible isn't just a book of stories about other people, it's a mirror. Every character, every event, every lesson, it's all there to reflect something back at us. When you see Adam and Eve in the garden, do you see their struggle as your own? When you watch Noah building the ark, do you think about the times in your life when you've had to trust in something bigger than yourself? When you witness Abraham nearly sacrificing Isaac, are you reminded of the times you've had to let go of something you love in order to move forward in faith? The same goes for Moses, David, and even Jesus himself. Their stories aren't just historical, they're deeply personal. They ask us to think about who we are, what we believe, and how we live. And here's the truth: we all have a role to play in the grand narrative of life. The question is, are you living out that role, or are you sitting on the sidelines? Let's dig deeper. This film doesn't just challenge us to reflect on our lives, it challenges us to act. Think about the story of Noah. He was called to build an ark in a world that thought he was crazy. He faced ridicule, isolation, and doubt, but he kept going. Why? Because he trusted in a purpose greater than himself. So let me ask you, what's your ark? What's that thing you've been called to build? That dream or purpose or mission that feels impossible but won't leave your heart? And what's stopping you from building it? Is it fear? Doubt? The opinions of others? One of the most profound lessons from this film and from the Bible itself is that faith isn't about having all the answers. It's about taking the first step, even when the path isn't clear. Now let's look at Abraham. His story is a powerful reminder of the importance of trust in God, trust in the process, and trust in the promises we've been given. Abraham was asked to do the unthinkable, to sacrifice his son Isaac. It's a story that's hard to understand, but it's also deeply symbolic. It's about surrender. It's about letting go of control and trusting that there's a bigger plan at work. What's something you need to surrender in your own life? Maybe it's a fear of failure. Maybe it's resentment or anger. Maybe it's the need to control every outcome. What would happen if you let go of those things and trusted in something greater than yourself? And then there's Moses. His story is one of courage and leadership. He didn't feel qualified to lead the Israelites out of Egypt. He doubted himself. He even questioned God. But he stepped up anyway. He faced Pharaoh. He parted the Red Sea. He led his people to freedom. What about you? Where in your life are you being called to lead? Maybe it's in your family, your community, or your workplace. Maybe it's simply leading yourself, choosing to take responsibility for your actions and your future. Leadership isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up. It's about stepping into the role you've been given, even when it feels overwhelming. And of course, there's Jesus. His story is the ultimate example of love, sacrifice, and redemption. Watching his life unfold on screen, you can't help but be struck by the depth of his compassion, the strength of his convictions, and the selflessness of his actions. But here's the thing: Jesus didn't just live for himself. He lived for others. He gave his life so that others could live. So here's my question for you: who are you living for? Are you focused solely on your own goals, your own comfort, your own success? Or are you using your life to serve others, to make a difference, to leave the world better than you found it? This film also challenges us to think about the future. The story of Revelation isn't just about the end of the world, it's about the choices we make today. It's about living with urgency, with purpose, and with the understanding that our time here is limited. What are you doing with the time you've been given? Are you spending it on things that matter, or are you wasting it on distractions? Are you building something that will last, or are you chasing things that will fade away? One of the most powerful moments in the film is the portrayal of the new heaven and the new earth. It's a vision of a world made whole, a world without pain, suffering, or death. It's a reminder that no matter how broken things feel right now, there's hope. There's redemption. There's a promise of something better. And that promise isn't just for the future, it's for today. It's for you. Because every small act of kindness, every step of faith, every moment of courage, it all contributes to that bigger picture. It all matters. So here's where we land: the story of the Bible isn't over. It's still being written, and you're a part of it. This film is a reminder that the choices you make every day, the way you treat people, the way you spend your time, the way you respond to challenges, they all add up. They all shape the legacy you'll leave behind. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with this question: what kind of story are you writing with your life? Is it a story of faith, courage, and love? Or is it a story of fear, doubt, and regret? The good news is, it's never too late to change the story. It's never too late to start building your arc, to step into your purpose, to live with intention and hope. If this video has inspired you, I want to challenge you to take action. Go see this movie. Experience the story of the Bible in a way you've never seen before. But don't stop there. Let it inspire you to dig deeper, to ask questions, and to live differently. And if you found this message meaningful, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because together, we can be a part of something bigger. Together, we can write a story that matters. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this journey, hit the subscribe button for more thought-provoking content. And remember, the greatest story ever told isn't just something you watch, it's something you watch, it's something you live. So go out there and live it. I'll see you in the next one.